Lisa Miller looked out the small window of the ship called Horizon. The purple trees of planet Kepler 442b stretched as far as she could see. She checked her equipment one more time. As the main scientist who studied alien life, she was excited to explore this new world. "Are you ready?" Captain Alan Parker asked as he entered the room. His uniform was neat, and his face showed he took his job very seriously. "Yes, Captain," Lisa said. "I've been waiting for this chance my whole life." Alan nodded. "Just remember, we're only here to look. No talking to aliens, because we don't think there are any." Lisa smiled. Every new planet came with the same warning. Humans had been traveling through space for 20 years and had not yet met any aliens. Most people thought humans were alone in the universe. Lisa wasn't so sure. Suddenly, the ship shook. A loud alarm started to ring. "What's happening?" Lisa grabbed the wall to stay standing. Officer Greg Wilson rushed into the room. "Captain, something just crashed into the planet. It came through the sky like a fireball and landed in the forest about 5 miles from here." Alan's face became serious. "Was it a meteor?" "No, sir," Greg said. "The computers say it was a ship, and it was controlled, not just falling. Someone was flying it." Lisa's heart beat faster. A ship meant aliens. Real aliens. "We need to check for survivors," she said. "If someone is hurt down there, or if something is waiting to hurt us." Greg cut in. Alan thought for a moment. "Both good points. We'll send a small team. Lisa, you're our expert on alien life. Greg, you'll handle security. And Nancy Reed from communications in case we need to talk to whatever's down there." An hour later, the 3 humans walked through the purple forest. Strange plants moved away as they passed. Small flying creatures that looked like glowing butterflies watched them from the trees. "The crash site should be just ahead," Greg said, checking a small computer on his wrist. He held a weapon ready, just in case. They reached a clearing and stopped. A silver ship about the size of a small bus was half buried in the ground. Part of it was broken open. Something that looked like blue blood made a trail from the ship into the trees. "Someone survived," Lisa whispered. "And they're hurt." "Or it's a trap," Greg said. Nancy stepped forward. "Hello? We're humans from planet Earth. We're here to help," only silence answered. Lisa walked closer to the ship and looked inside the broken part. Strange writing covered the walls. The seats were much taller than what humans would use, and there was more blue blood. "I'm going to follow the blood trail," she decided. "Someone needs medical help." "I'll go with you," Nancy said. "Greg, watch the ship." The 2 women followed the blue drops through the trees. After a few minutes, they heard a sound. It was like nothing on Earth, a mix of bells and whispers. They moved around a large purple plant and saw them. 2 aliens stood in a small clearing. One was tall, about 7 feet, with 4 arms and skin that glowed with blue light patterns. It leaned against a tree, blue blood dripping from a cut on its side. The second alien was small, maybe only 3 feet tall. It had the same glowing patterns, but they were dimmer. It lay on the ground, not moving much. "Hello?" Lisa said softly. The tall alien jumped in surprise. It moved to stand between the humans and the small alien. One hand reached for something that might have been a weapon. "We won't hurt you," Nancy said, putting her hands up to show they were empty. "We want to help." The alien made more bell-like sounds. Then it touched something on its neck and a mechanical voice came out. "Who? You?" Lisa smiled. "I'm Lisa. This is Nancy. We're humans from Earth." The alien seemed to relax a little. Elio. This, my child, Lumi, ship, crashed, Lumi, hurt." Lisa nodded and slowly moved closer. "I'm a doctor. I can help." "Lumi." Elio hesitated, then stepped aside. "Please, help." Lisa knelt by the small alien. Lumi's eyes were large and silver like mirrors. The child was breathing fast and one leg was bent at a strange angle. "Broken leg," Lisa said, "and maybe hurt inside too. The patterns are fading." Lifelite, Elio said. When fade, death, comes. Greg's voice came through Nancy's radio. Everything okay out there? We found survivors, Nancy answered. 2 aliens. One's a child and is hurt badly. We need to get them back to the ship. I don't think that's a good idea, Greg started to say, but Lisa had already made up her mind. I took an oath to help anyone who needs medical care. I'm not leaving this child to die. Elio watched Lisa carefully. Why, help us? Not know us. That's what humans do, Lisa said, as she gently checked Lumi's injuries. We help first, and ask questions later. Nancy helped Lisa make a stretcher from branches and their jackets. They carefully placed Lumi on it. The child made a soft bell sound that might have been pain or fear. It's okay, Lisa said, even though she knew the child might not understand. We're going to make you better. As they started back toward the ship, Elio suddenly froze. Wait, the mechanical voice said. Danger. What danger? Greg asked over the radio. Hunters, Elio said. They follow. They hunt my people. For sport. For our lifelite. Lisa and Nancy looked at each other. Hunters? You mean other aliens are hunting you? Elio's patterns flashed quickly. Vorax. Hunters, very dangerous. Kill many worlds. How close are they? Nancy asked. Not know. But they follow. Always follow. Lisa looked down at Lumi, whose lifelights were growing dimmer. We need to move fast. Let's get to our ship. We can protect you there. As they walked back faster now, Lisa thought about what Elio had said. Aliens who hunted other aliens. It seemed impossible. But the fear in Elio's eyes was real. From somewhere in the purple forest came a low growling sound. Something was watching them. Something was hunting. Lisa held Lumi's small hand. Don't worry, she whispered. You're safe now. Humans are good at protecting those who can't protect themselves. But as night began to fall on the alien planet, she wondered if that was a promise she could keep. The strange growling sound grew louder as Lisa, Nancy, and Elio carried the injured alien child through the purple forest. Night was falling fast. The twin moons of Kepler 442b cast long shadows that seemed to move on their own. We need to hurry, Nancy said, adjusting her grip on the makeshift stretcher. Lumi lay still, the glowing patterns on the small alien's skin growing fainter. Greg's voice came through the radio. I see you coming. There's something else moving out there too. Something big. Lisa looked at Elio. Is it the hunters? The Vorax? Elio's patterns flashed with fear. Yes. They follow smell of blood. Very good hunters. They reached the clearing where the crashed silver ship and Greg waited. Elio touched something on his neck, and his translator made mechanical sounds. Need safe place. Vorax have weapons, many weapons. Greg pointed to their own ship. The horizon is 3 miles away. We can call for pickup. Captain Allen's voice came through the radio. Negative. There's an electrical storm forming. No ships can fly until it passes. Estimated time, 3 days. Lisa checked Lumi's condition. This child doesn't have 3 days. We need shelter and medical supplies now. Greg looked around. The alien ship is broken, but half of it is still intact. We could use it for shelter. They carried Lumi inside the damaged ship. The inside was strange, with tall seats and controls, made for beings with 4 arms. But it was dry and could be defended. Lisa set up a small medical area using supplies from her pack. She gently placed Lumi on a soft bed made from emergency blankets. The child's eyes opened slightly. Silver mirrors, reflecting Lisa's concerned face. I'm going to help you, Lisa said softly. Just stay still. Elio stood nearby, watching Lisa work. Our people called Zari. Patterns are life force. When patterns go dark? That's not going to happen, Lisa said firmly. She examined the child. Carefully. The leg is broken and there's some internal bleeding. I can treat both, but I've never worked on an alien before. Nancy set up communications equipment while Greg secured the entrances. Any sign of the hunters? She asked. Greg shook his head. Nothing yet, but something is out there. I can feel it. Outside, hidden in the shadows of the purple trees, Commander Krax watched the humans with interest. His scaled skin helped him blend perfectly with the darkness. Only his yellow eyes might give him away, glowing slightly as he studied his prey. Krax was the best hunter in the Vorax Imperium. He had tracked the Zari ship across 3 star systems. The small family was valuable. Adult and child Zari would bring high prices in the Empire markets. Their glowing patterns contained rare chemicals that powered Vorax technology. These humans were new. Krax had never seen their kind before. They were smaller than Vorax, with no scales or claws. They looked weak, but they had technology and weapons. They would need to be studied before he attacked. Krax touched the communication device on his wrist. 3 more Vorax hunters appeared silently beside him. They were his hunting pack, loyal and deadly. Krax made a series of hand signals. The hunters nodded and moved to surround the crashed ship. Inside, Lisa worked to save Lumi's life. She had connected a small device to the child's arm. This will help stop the bleeding, she explained to Elio. And I've set the broken leg. Now, we wait. Why help us? Elio asked. You not know Zari, we different. Nancy smiled. That doesn't matter to humans. We help those who need it. Greg, who was watching the entrance, suddenly held up his hand for silence. Movement outside, he whispered. Multiple targets. Elio's patterns flashed with panic. Vorax come. We die now. Lisa stood up. No one is dying today. She picked up her medical scanner and adjusted some settings. This device reads life signs. The Vorax are alive, so they should show up on it. The scanner showed 4 large forms moving around the ship. They were bigger than humans, moving with careful, predatory steps. 4 hunters, Greg said. Well armed, based on what I can see. They're setting up for an attack. Can we talk to them? Nancy asked. Maybe explain that the Zari are under our protection? Elio shook his head. Vorax not talk, only hunt. Greg checked his weapon. Then we defend. I have standard-issue plasma rifles for everyone. I'm a doctor, not a soldier, Lisa protested. Today, you're both, Greg said, handing her a weapon. These aliens want to kill a child. Are you going to let that happen? Lisa looked at Lumi, whose patterns were slowly getting brighter as the medicine worked. She took the weapon. No, I'm not. Nancy set up a perimeter alarm system using small devices from her pack. This will warn us if they try to enter. Outside, Krax was impressed by the humans' technology. His hunters reported that the ship had defenses they didn't recognize. This would require a new approach. Krax decided to test the humans. He signaled to one of his hunters, who fired a warning shot. The purple tree next to the ship exploded into flames. Inside, the humans and Zari ducked as the ship shook. What was that? Lisa asked, covering Lumi with her body. Energy weapon, Greg said. Military grade, they're serious. Elio huddled next to his child. Vorax weapons destroy planets. Very dangerous. Greg looked at Nancy. Can you contact the Horizon? We need backup. Nancy tried the radio. The storm is blocking communication. We're on our own. Lisa checked on Lumi. The child's patterns were stronger now. The medicine is working, but we need to keep Lumi quiet and still. Another explosion hit nearby, rocking the ship. They're testing our defenses, Greg said, trying to scare us into running. Lisa looked determined. Well, they picked the wrong species to scare. Humans don't abandon children to predators. As night fully settled on the alien planet, the humans prepared for a long battle. They didn't know much about the Vorax, but they knew one thing for certain. They would not let them take the Zari child. Greg set up watch positions. They'll probably attack at dawn, that's what I would do. Lisa sat next to Lumi, whose silver eyes watched her with trust. The child reached out a small hand with 4 fingers and touched Lisa's face. Don't worry, Lisa whispered. Humans are very good at protecting those we care about. And we already care about you. Outside in the darkness, Krax watched and planned. These humans were unexpected, but they were still just prey. Tomorrow he would show them why the Vorax were the galaxy's ultimate predators. He had no way of knowing that humans had once been predators too, and that nothing was more dangerous than a human protecting a child. Morning came slowly on Kepler 442b. The purple forest glowed with strange light as the planet's sun rose. Inside the crashed ship, Lisa checked on Lumi. The alien child's patterns were much brighter now, pulsing with renewed strength. "The medicine is working," Lisa said to Elio, who had not left his child's side all night. "Thank you," Elio said through his translator. "Zari people owe humans great debt." Greg came in from his watch position at the ship's entrance. No movement from the Vorax since those warning shots. They're still out there, though. I can feel them watching. Nancy had been trying to fix the communication system. Still can't reach the horizon. The storm is too strong. "How long can we hold out here?" Lisa asked. Greg checked their supplies. "Food and water for 3 days. Weapons have enough charge for several fights. The real question is, what are the Vorax waiting for?" Outside, hidden, in the purple vegetation, Commander Krax was asking himself the same question. The night had given him time to study these humans. They were careful, alert, and protective of the Zari. This would require a special approach. Krax gathered his hunting pack. "We will use the divide strategy," he told them in the clicking language of the Vorax. 2 targets. Force them to split. Their defenses. The hunters nodded and moved into position. Inside the ship, Lumi was awake and sitting up. The small alien child made bell-like sounds that seemed happy. Elio translated. "Lumi says thank you for saving life. Asks if you are angels." Lisa smiled. "Tell Lumi we're just humans. We come from a planet called Earth." "Lumi never seen humans before," Elio said. "No Zari has. We thought we were alone against Vorax." Greg, who was checking the perimeter sensors, suddenly went still. Movement, 2 directions. They're coming from the east and west at the same time. Nancy grabbed her weapon. "They're trying to split us up." "It's working," Greg said. "We can't cover both sides with just 3 of us." Lisa looked at Elio. "Can you use a weapon?" Elio's patterns dimmed. "Zari are peaceful, never fight." Greg made a quick decision. "Nancy, take the west entrance. I'll cover the east. Lisa, stay with the Zari and be ready to back up either of us." They moved to their positions just as the sensors began to beep loudly. "Contact," Nancy called out. 2 large forms approaching fast. At the east entrance, Greg saw movement in the purple plants. Same here. They're coordinating their attack. The first Vorax hunter burst from the vegetation near Nancy. It was huge, nearly 8 feet tall with green scales and yellow eyes. It had 4 arms like the Zari, but each ended in sharp claws. It carried a weapon that glowed with energy. Nancy fired her plasma rifle. The shot hit the Vorax in the shoulder, making it roar in pain, but it kept coming. At the east entrance, Greg faced 2 more hunters. They moved with terrifying speed, using the plants for cover. Greg managed to hit one, but the other got too close. With a powerful swing, it knocked Greg's weapon away. "I need backup," Greg shouted as he pulled out a smaller weapon. Inside with the Zari, Lisa faced a terrible choice. Both her friends needed help, but she couldn't leave Lumi unprotected. She looked at the child whose silver eyes were wide with fear. "Stay here," she told Elio. "Keep Lumi quiet." Lisa grabbed her weapon and ran toward Greg's position. She fired at the Vorax that was attacking him, hitting it in the leg. The hunter fell back, giving Greg time to recover his rifle. "Thanks," Greg said. "But what about Nancy?" A loud crash came from the west entrance. Lisa turned to run back, but it was too late. The 4th hunter, the one they hadn't seen, had broken through the ceiling of the ship. It dropped down right next to where Elio was protecting Lumi. This Vorax was bigger than the others. Its scales were marked with strange symbols, and it wore armor made from materials Lisa didn't recognize. This was Commander Krax. Elio stood in front of Lumi, all 4 arms spread wide. "No take, child," Krax laughed. a horrible sound like rocks breaking. He raised a claw to strike Elio. Lisa ran faster than she ever had in her life. She wasn't going to make it in time. The Vorax commander's claw began to swing down toward Elio. Then something unexpected happened. Lumi, the small child who had been so weak, suddenly flared with brilliant light. The patterns on the child's skin became so bright that Krax had to shield his eyes. That moment of distraction was all Lisa needed. She threw herself between the Vorax and the Zari, her weapon raised. "Not today," she said, and fired directly at Krax's chest. The shot hit the commander's armor, cracking it but not breaking through. Krax roared and swung at Lisa, catching her arm with his claws. She cried out in pain but didn't move from her protective position. "Humans protect Zari now," she said, blood running down her arm. "You want them? You go through us first." Krax looked confused. In all his years of hunting, he had never seen one species risk its life for another. It made no sense to the Vorax mind. Outside, Nancy had managed to drive back her attacker. She ran to help Greg, who had wounded one hunter and was fighting the other. Together, they forced the Vorax back into the forest. Lisa stood her ground against Commander Krax despite her injury. Last chance. Leave now. Krax studied this small human who dared to challenge him. Something new entered his yellow eyes. Respect, perhaps, or fear. With a snarl, he leaped up through the hole in the ceiling and disappeared. The attack was over, at least for now. Greg and Nancy rushed back inside. "Lisa, you're hurt," Nancy said, seeing the claw marks. "It's not deep," Lisa said, though the pain was intense. "Check on Lumi and Elio first." The Zari were unharmed. Lumi's bright flare of light had faded, but the child's patterns were strong and steady. "What was that light?" Greg asked. Elio's patterns flowed with what might have been pride. "Defense light, only used in great danger. Lumi very brave." "Lisa, let Nancy bandage her arm. The Vorax will be back. They're wounded and angry now." Greg nodded. "But they'll be more careful next time. They've never faced humans before." Elio came to Lisa and touched her bandaged arm gently. Human stood between predator and child. Zari never forget this. Outside, Commander Krax gathered his wounded hunters. This was no longer a simple capture mission. These humans had changed everything. For the first time in his long hunting career, Krax sent a message to the Vorax Imperium requesting reinforcements. The humans had shown themselves to be dangerous in a way the Vorax had never encountered before. They did not fight for territory or resources. They fought to protect others, even aliens they had just met. As the sun rose higher over the purple forest, both sides prepared for what would come next. The humans cleaned their weapons and treated their wounds. The Vorax planned new strategies, and Lumi, the small Zari child, watched Lisa with silver eyes full of wonder and hope. The day after the attack was quiet, too quiet. Lisa checked her injured arm. The deep cuts from the Vorax commander's claws were painful, but she had cleaned and bandaged them well. As a doctor, she knew how to treat wounds, even her own. "How are you feeling?" Nancy asked, bringing Lisa some food from their supplies. "I'll live," Lisa said. "How's Lumi?" They both looked at the Zari child, who was sitting up and eating something that Elio had found in the forest. The small alien's patterns were bright and steady now. "Lumi is recovering faster than I expected," Lisa said. That bright flash of light seemed to help somehow. Greg came in from his watch position. "No sign of the Vorax since yesterday, but that doesn't mean they're gone." Nancy nodded. "They're planning something. That commander didn't seem like the type to give up easily." Elio joined their conversation. "Commander Krax is famous hunter. Never fails to catch prey. Many Zari families taken by him." "Well, he's never dealt with humans before," Greg said, checking his weapon. "We're not easy to hunt." Lisa went to check on Lumi. The child looked up at her with silver eyes and made happy bell sounds. "Lumi asks why humans help Zari," Elio translated. "Why fight Vorax for us?" Lisa thought for a moment. "Tell Lumi that humans protect those who can't protect themselves." especially children. It's part of who we are. Elio's patterns flowed in what might have been confusion. Zari searched Galaxy for allies against Vorax, found none, all species afraid of hunters. Humans aren't easily frightened, Nancy said, joining them, and we're stubborn, very stubborn. Outside the crashed ship, 10 miles away, Commander Krax was meeting with his reinforcements. 5 more Vorax hunters had arrived, along with new weapons and equipment. Krax showed them images of the humans. They are small but dangerous, he told the hunters. They protect the Zari as if they were their own kind. This makes no sense, but it is true. One of the new hunters, a female with red-tinted scales, studied the images. Perhaps they want the Zari for themselves, for the lifelight? Krax shook his head. No, they heal the child. They stand between our claws and the Zari. This is something new. The female, whose name was Vex, was the smartest of the hunting pack. If we cannot understand them, perhaps we can trick them. Humans cannot be as clever as Vorax. Krax wasn't so sure, but he listened to her plan. Back at the ship, Greg was getting worried. The storm is still blocking communication with the horizon, and our food supplies are running low. We need to find more food, Lisa said. There must be things we can eat in this forest. Elio's patterns brightened. Zari can help. We know which plant's safe to eat. Greg looked doubtful. It's dangerous out there with the Vorax hunting us. We can't stay here and starve, Nancy pointed out. And we need medicine for Lisa's arm, too. After some discussion, they made a plan. Greg and Elio would go looking for food while Nancy stayed to guard Lumi. Lisa would rest and try to heal her injured arm. Be careful, Lisa told Greg as he and Elio prepared to leave. The Vorax could be anywhere. Greg nodded. We'll stay close and be back before dark. As they left, Lumi came to sit near Lisa. The child's silver eyes watched Lisa's bandaged arm with concern. It's okay, Lisa said, though she knew Lumi couldn't understand her words. It looks worse than it is. Lumi reached out and touched Lisa's arm gently. To Lisa's surprise, the child's patterns flowed down onto her skin where the touch connected. A warm feeling spread through the wound, easing the pain. Nancy, look at this, Lisa said in amazement. Nancy came over. The patterns are healing you. I've never seen anything like it. Now I understand why the Vorax hunt the Zari, Lisa said sadly. They don't just want the light for technology. They want the healing power too. Outside in the forest, Greg and Elio were collecting blue fruits that Elio said were safe for humans to eat. They had filled half a bag when Greg heard a sound. Wait, he whispered, raising his weapon. Something's coming. From the trees stumbled a Zari child, smaller even than Lumi. Its patterns were very dim and it looked hurt. A child. Elio's patterns flashed with shock. Alone? The small Zari saw them and made weak bell sounds. The child needs help. Elio said, starting forward. Greg grabbed his arm. Wait. This doesn't feel right. How would a Zari child get here? Your ship crashed with just you and Lumi. Elio hesitated. Perhaps another ship? Many Zari flee Vorax. Greg studied the small figure carefully. Something wasn't right. The child's movements were strange, almost mechanical. It's a trap, he said suddenly. That's not a real child. As he spoke, the false Zari child's patterns changed from blue to red. Its body split open, revealing a metal device inside. A gas began to pour out. Run, Greg shouted, pulling Elio away. It's a gas bomb. They ran as fast as they could, but the gas spread quickly through the forest. It was designed to knock out its victims, not kill them. The Vorax wanted their prey alive. Greg felt his legs getting heavy. Keep going, he told Elio. Warn the others. Elio, whose 4 legs gave him more speed, kept running. Greg fell to his knees, fighting to stay conscious. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was a large-scaled figure approaching. Back at the ship, Nancy picked up unusual energy readings on her scanner. Something's happening in the forest. Energy spikes and some kind of gas. Lisa tried to stand, but her injured arm made her weak. Try to contact Greg. Nancy used the radio. Greg? Greg, come in. Only static answered. Suddenly, Elio burst into the ship, his patterns flashing with panic. Trap! Vorax use fake child as trap. Take Greg. They have Greg? Lisa asked in horror. Elio nodded. Gas weapon. Greg told me run, warn you. Nancy checked. Her weapon. We have to rescue him. It could be another trap, Lisa warned. It is trap, Elio agreed. But cannot leave Greg with Vorax. Lisa looked at Lumi, who was watching them with worried eyes. We can't all go. Lumi needs protection. Nancy made a quick decision. I'll go, I'm the best tracker. You and Elio stay with Lumi. Before Lisa could argue, a new sound came from outside. A low humming that grew louder. What is that? Lisa asked. Nancy looked at her scanner. Multiple energy signatures, big ones. Her face went pale. It's a Vorax ship. They're coming for us, all of them. The final confrontation was about to begin. The Vorax ship hovered over the forest, much larger than the crashed Zari vessel. Its dark metal shape blocked the sun, casting shadows over the trees. Inside the human shelter, Lisa, Nancy, Elio, and Lumi watched with growing fear. They brought a warship, Nancy said, checking her scanner. At least 20 Vorax on board. Lisa looked at her injured arm. The touch from Lumi had eased the pain, but she was still weak. And they have Greg. Elio's patterns flowed with sadness. My fault. Should not have left ship. No, Lisa said firmly. We needed food. Greg knew the risks. The radio crackled. A strange voice came through, rough and clicking. Humans. This is Commander Krax of the Vorax Imperium. We have your friend. Nancy picked up the radio. If you've hurt him. He is alive. Krax interrupted. For now. Give us the Zari, and you may leave with your friend. Lisa and Nancy looked at each other. Then they looked at Elio and Lumi. The small child's silver eyes were wide with fear. Never, Lisa said. We don't trade lives. Nancy nodded and spoke into the radio. No deal, Krax. The Zari are under our protection now. Laughter came through the radio. Then you will all die together. We attack in 1 hour. The radio went silent. 1 hour, Nancy repeated. Not much time to prepare. Lisa thought hard. We need to contact the horizon. The storm must be clearing by now. Nancy tried the communication system again. This time, instead of static, she heard a faint voice. It's working. Captain Allen, do you read us? Captain Allen's voice came through, broken but understandable. Nancy, we lost signal. Storm clearing. Position? We're at the Zari crash site, Nancy said quickly. Hostile aliens called Vorax have surrounded us. They've captured Greg. We need immediate extraction. Understood. Coming. Hold position. 2 hours. The signal faded. 2 hours, Lisa said. But Krax is attacking in 1. We need to stall them, Nancy said. She looked at her scanner again. Wait, something's wrong. The ship is landing now. Outside, the Vorax warship touched down in a large clearing. Its landing ramp lowered, and armored Vorax hunters began to march out. In the center, held between 2 guards, was Greg. He looked beaten but alive. Commander Krax stepped forward, larger and more terrifying in full battle armor. His yellow eyes scanned the forest until they found the crashed Zari ship. Final chance, humans, he shouted. Send out the Zari. Inside, Lisa, Nancy and Elio were making a desperate plan. I have an idea, Lisa said. But it's dangerous, she explained quickly. Elio's patterns flashed with worry, but he nodded. For my child, I will try. Nancy gave Lisa a concerned look. Your arm doesn't matter now, Lisa said. This is our only chance. Lisa picked up the radio. Commander Krax, we want to talk face to face. There was a pause, then Krax's voice. Come out, unarmed. Lisa and Nancy stepped out of the ship. They walked slowly toward the Vorax forces with their hands up. Elio and Lumi remained hidden inside. Krax watched the humans approach. He had expected fear, but these small creatures showed none. It was interesting. "Where are the Zari?" he demanded. "Safe," Lisa said. "We want to make a deal." Krax laughed. "You have nothing to offer." "We have information," Lisa said, "about the Zari patterns, about why they heal." This caught Krax's attention. The Vorax had never understood how the Zari healing worked. It was one reason they were so valuable. "Speak," he ordered. Lisa took a step closer. "First, release our friend." Krax gestured, and the guards pushed Greg forward. He stumbled toward Lisa and Nancy. "You okay?" Nancy whispered. Greg nodded. "Been better. What's the plan?" "Just be ready," Lisa whispered, then louder to Krax. "The Zari patterns respond to emotions. The stronger the emotion, the more powerful the healing." This was not entirely true, but Lisa needed to keep talking. Behind her, Nancy was slowly reaching for a small device in her pocket. Krax stepped closer, interested despite himself. "Continue. When you hunt them, their fear weakens the patterns," Lisa said. "That's why the light fades when they're captured. You're destroying what makes them valuable." Some of the Vorax hunters looked at each other. This made sense. The Zari they captured always lost their bright glow before reaching the markets. While Lisa spoke, something was happening inside the crashed ship. Elio was helping Lumi focus all of the child's energy into the brightest pattern possible. The small alien glowed brighter and brighter, like a small sun. "What humans offer," Lisa continued, "is partnership. We can help you understand the Zari better, find ways to use their healing without hunting them." Krax's yellow eyes narrowed. "Vorax do not partner. We take." "That's what I thought you'd say," Lisa replied. She nodded slightly to Nancy. Nancy pressed the device in her pocket. Suddenly, all the lights on the Vorax ship went dark. Their weapons powered down. The electromagnetic pulse had worked, temporarily disabling their technology. At that moment, Elio and Lumi burst from the ship. Lumi was glowing so brightly that the Vorax had to cover their eyes. The blinding light created confusion among the hunters. "Now!" Lisa shouted. Greg, despite his injuries, tackled the nearest guard and grabbed his weapon. Nancy pulled out a hidden plasma pistol and began firing at the Vorax. Lisa ran back toward Elio and Lumi, placing herself between them and the hunters once again. Krax roared in anger. Even without weapons, the Vorax were dangerous. He charged toward Lisa and the Zari. Lisa stood her ground. "You want them? You go through me first." Krax raised his claws to strike. But before he could, a deafening sound filled the air. Everyone looked up. 3 human ships broke through the clouds, the horizon, and 2 military vessels. They positioned themselves above the Vorax ship, weapons aimed downward. Captain Allen's voice boomed from speakers. "This is Captain Allen Parker of Earth. Stand down immediately or be destroyed." The Vorax hunters looked to Krax for orders. For the first time in his life, the great hunter felt fear. These humans had allies, technology, and a strange kind of strength he didn't understand. Slowly, Krax lowered his claws.
"This is not over, humans." "Yes, it is," Lisa said firmly. "The Zari are under human protection now. Spread the word through your empire. Any species that seeks peace can find it with us." The human ships landed, and armed soldiers surrounded
The Vorax. Greg, Nancy, and Lisa were reunited with their crew. Medical teams treated their injuries while security handled the Vorax. Lumi, no longer needing to glow, ran to Lisa and hugged her leg with all 4 arms. Elio's patterns flowed with joy and gratitude. "What happens now?" Elio asked. Captain Allen joined them. "That's up to you. Earth would welcome representatives from the Zari people. We have much to learn from each other." 1 month later, on Earth, Lisa stood in a large room filled with humans and aliens. Representatives from 6 different species had gathered after hearing about humans standing against the Vorax. Lumi sat on Lisa's lap, silver eyes watching everything with wonder. The child's patterns flowed gently, no longer needing to flare with defensive light. The Vorax Imperium has agreed to peace talks, an official announced. They've never done this before. Lisa smiled, all because humans couldn't stand by and watch a predator strike a child no matter what species that child might be. It was a simple act that had changed the galaxy. Elio, now an official ambassador for the Zari, addressed the gathering. For generations, my people lived in fear. We hid, we ran, we died, then humans found us. They stood between predator and prey and said no more. They showed the galaxy that protection is stronger than predation. Lumi looked up at Lisa and made happy bell sounds. No translation was needed. Some things were understood in any language. The predator had been about to strike the alien child. Then a human arrived, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same.